Now, the new darling of the British left, former footy player Gary Neville, has been accused of hypocrisy after it emerged he will work for a Qatari state-run broadcaster at next month's World Cup. That's despite condemning the abhorrent treatment of migrant workers in the Gulf country in a documentary only last week. That was focusing on its human rights record. Neville responded to the criticism by saying he would continue to highlight human rights issues, as he has done for years. Now, joining me to discuss this further is friend of the show, sports writer for The Sun, Justin Allen. Justin, thank you very much for your time. Tell us more about what do we know much detail about Gary Neville's deal with the Qatari-run sports channel?
Well, I think you'll find it's a lot of money, put it that way. They're looking at it's going to be a six-figure sum. But yeah, he's going to be sort of commenting on the World Cup. He's going to be doing interviews and all that sort of stuff, really. I mean, you know, he obviously is out there a lot. He's doing a lot for Sky Sports. He's doing a lot for ITV Sport and beIN Sport on top.
So what do you reckon about his left-wing credentials? Because obviously Gary Neville, for many of my viewers, will have seen him at Labour Party conference, sat there grinning like a Cheshire cat with Sir Keir Starmer. His left-wing credentials, surely they've taken a bit of a hit as a result of this, have they?
Yeah, I mean, look, Gary Neville, Darren, is the worst type of hypocrite. He really is. He goes around espouting social principles.
Don't hold back, Justin. Don't hold back.
And there he is, signing up for beIN Sport, you know, a Qatari state-run broadcaster. I mean, let's not forget, in Qatar, 5,000 construction workers have died in the build-up to this tournament, putting together the stadiums. You can go to prison there for being homosexual. Women get treated like second-class citizens. And it's absolutely staggering that he's signed up for them. And in June, don't forget, David Beckham agreed to be the face and ambassador of the World Cup. Gary Neville actually interviewed his former Manchester United colleague in Qatar in June, and not once did he challenge him about it. You know, what I find interesting about Gary Neville, he's a man who has an opinion on everything our government does, yet he doesn't seem to have as much of an opinion on the shortcomings of the Qatar government, and I wonder why that is.
Well, Qatar have actually revealed the rules, haven't they, that they're going to put in place during the World Cup. It's ranging on its alcohol restrictions to rules on COVID and all the rest of it. What have they actually announced? Are they going to sort of liberalise all of these things in order to bring in Westerners to the World Cup?
I think there'll be a little bit of a soft touch. There'll be sort of alcohol zones. There'll almost be like a Western zone around stadiums, I suppose, and there'll be a little bit of an amnesty around the tournament. But mark my words, it'll all go back to normal straight after the tournament. I mean, a lot of people would agree that it's staggering that the tournament's being even held there. Look, it's not for us to tell another country how to run things in their own country. Absolutely not. But when you have something like a World Cup, which is a global event, I think it's very important that there are core values that all countries agree around. Basic human rights, like it's okay to be homosexual. It's, you know, it's just things like that. And I just think, unfortunately, it's all been a bit of a mess from the moment that they, you know, FIFA agreed to stage the World Cup there this winter.
Yeah, because you mentioned David Beckham. He was accused of stamping out hope for the LGBT plus community in Qatar for his promotional work that you mentioned around the World Cup. Both Neville and Beckham have basically been accused of essentially accepting these large sums of cash that goodness only knows how much, whilst turning the other cheek to human rights abuses. I mean, is that a fair thing to say in your opinion? I mean, we as a country have many ties to these kind of nations, don't we?
Yeah, I think when you're virtue signalling in the way that Gary Neville and David Beckham does, you have to exercise a degree of self-sacrifice. Do you know what I mean? For example, companies like Hummel, for example, and Sainsbury's. I mean, Sainsbury's, you know, made a big thing about Pride, you know, and there they are selling products to Saudi Arabia, one of the countries with the worst human rights records and certainly discriminatory against the LGBT community. I think you have to, if you're doing the virtue signalling, you have to be whiter than white. And unfortunately, Gary Neville and David Beckham, you know, like most people, not whiter than white. And the main interest really, in my eyes, for both of those gentlemen, is their own self-interest.